The pain woke me before dawn, sharp and wrong in a way that cut through the haze of sleep and whatever was left of the painkillers I'd taken hours ago. My left arm felt like it was on fire, and when I tried to move it, the world went white at the edges. I bit down on my lip hard enough to taste blood because I couldn't scream, couldn't make noise, couldn't let anyone know I was awake, especially not Geonwoo. I turned my head carefully on the pillow and found him still asleep beside me, one arm thrown across his eyes, his chest rising and falling in the steady rhythm that meant he was deeply under. Good. That was good. I needed time to think, time to figure out what I was going to tell him when he woke up and saw my arm hanging at an angle that arms definitely weren't supposed to hang at. The memory came back in fragments. His father's hand on my wrist, the twist, the snap that I'd felt more than heard. Siwon's voice, cold and controlled. "You're a distraction my son doesn't need, a weakness waiting to be exploited." The shove that sent me stumbling backward into the corner of the kitchen counter. The way he'd straightened his tie afterward like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just broken his son's boyfriend's arm in their own apartment. "If you tell him," Siwon had said quietly, "I'll make sure he chooses the family over you, and you'll lose him forever. Do you understand?" I'd understood. God, I'd understood perfectly. That had been 8 hours ago. Siwon had left. I'd taken painkillers and climbed into bed, pressed against Geonwoo's side like I could borrow his warmth and his strength and his certainty that the world made sense. I'd fallen asleep telling myself I'd figure it out in the morning. Morning was here now, and I still had no idea what to do. Geonwoo stirred beside me, his hand reaching out automatically to find me the way it always did when he was waking up. His fingers brushed my shoulder, and I couldn't stop the sharp intake of breath, couldn't control the way my body tensed. He was awake instantly, alert in the way only alphas could be, zero to complete awareness in a heartbeat. "Yunho?" "I'm fine," I said automatically, but my voice came out thin and shaky. "You're not." He was already sitting up, already reaching for the lamp. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I just—" The light clicked on, and I watched his expression change as he saw my arm. Watched winter gray eyes go from sleepy and soft to sharp and dangerous in the space between one breath and the next. "What happened?" Not a question, a demand, flat and cold. "I fell," I said, the lie bitter on my tongue. "Last night after you went to sleep. I got up to get water and I tripped and don't—" He cut me off, his voice dropping lower. "Don't lie to me, Yunho. Not about this." He was already out of bed, already pulling on clothes with sharp, controlled movements that spoke of violence being held back by sheer force of will. He grabbed his phone from the nightstand and I watched him type something quickly before turning those ice-cold eyes back to me. "We're going to the hospital now. Geonwoo, it's not that bad. Your arm is broken." He said each word carefully, like he was trying very hard to stay calm. "I can see it from here. So we're going to the hospital, and you're going to let them fix it, and then you're going to tell me exactly what happened. Do you understand?" I understood. I understood that he was using the voice that made grown men nervous, the one that said arguing was pointless. I understood that I was running out of time to figure out how to protect both him and myself. I understood that the choice Siwon had given me, stay quiet or lose Geonwoo, was about to be taken away entirely. "Okay," I whispered. The drive to the emergency room was silent. Geonwoo kept one hand on the wheel and the other on my knee, his thumb moving in small circles that might have been soothing if I couldn't feel the tension radiating off him in waves. Every red light made his jaw clench tighter. Every turn was controlled with the kind of precision that came from barely restrained fury. The emergency room was quiet at 5 in the morning, just a few people scattered in the waiting area looking exhausted and hurt. The intake nurse took one look at my arm and got me into a room within minutes, and Geonwoo stayed pressed against my side the entire time, like he was afraid I'd disappear if he stepped away. The doctor was young, efficient, professional. She examined my arm with gentle hands and asked careful questions that I answered with careful lies. Yes, I'd fallen. No, nobody had hurt me. Yes, I was sure. Geonwoo said nothing, but I could feel his eyes on me. Could feel the weight of his attention like a physical thing. The x-rays confirmed what we already knew. Clean break, Radius and ulna, both fractured, would need a cast and at least 8 weeks to heal. The doctor numbed the area, set the bones with efficiency that I was grateful for, and wrapped everything in a temporary cast until the swelling went down enough for the permanent one. "You'll need to follow up with orthopedics," she said, typing notes into her tablet. "And Yunho, if there's anything you need to tell me about how this happened—" "There isn't," I said firmly. "Thank you for your help." She didn't look like she believed me, but she nodded and left us alone. The moment the door closed, Geonwoo turned to me with an expression that made my stomach drop. "Tell me the truth," he said quietly. "Right now." "I told you." "Yunho." He moved closer, careful not to jar my arm, and cupped my face with both hands. "I've known you for 3 years. Been in love with you for 2.5. I know when you're lying to me. I know when you're scared. And right now you're both." His voice dropped lower, rougher. "So I'm asking you one more time. What happened to your arm?" I wanted to tell him. Wanted to say your father did this. Wanted to let him fix it the way he fixed everything else. But Siwon's words echoed in my head. "I'll make sure he chooses the family over you." And I couldn't risk it. Couldn't risk losing the only person who'd ever made me feel safe. "I fell," I whispered. "I promise, Geonwoo. Nobody hurt me." Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt, maybe, or disappointment that I didn't trust him enough to tell the truth. But he nodded slowly and pressed a kiss to my forehead. "Okay, we'll talk about this later. Let's get you home." Home, our apartment, the place where his father had broken my arm and threatened to take away everything that mattered. The drive back was just as silent as the drive there, but now the tension felt different, heavier, weighted with things unsaid. When we pulled into the parking garage, Geonwoo killed the engine, but didn't move to get out. He just sat there, hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead. "My father was here last night," he said finally. "Wasn't he?" My heart stopped. "What?" "I found his car in the visitor parking when I went to get something from mine at midnight. He was gone by the time I came back up." He turned to look at me, and his eyes were absolutely devastated. "He did this, didn't he?" "Geonwoo, don't lie to me again." His voice cracked. "Please, Yunho, don't lie to me about this." I couldn't. Looking at his face, seeing the way he was breaking, I couldn't keep lying. "He said I was a distraction," I whispered, "that I made you weak, that if I told you what happened, he'd make you choose between him and me, and I'd lose." Tears burned hot down my cheeks. "I can't lose you. I can't." For a long moment, Geonwoo said nothing. He just sat there, breathing hard, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tight his knuckles went white. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. "Daeshim, I need you to find my father. Now." His voice was flat, emotionless, the kind of calm that came before violence. "I don't care where he is or what he's doing. Find him and bring him to the warehouse on Pier 12. Do not let him leave the city." He paused. "Because if you don't find him before I do, what I'm going to do to him won't be quick." He hung up and turned to me. "Come on, we're going upstairs. You're going to rest, and I'm going to make some calls." "Geonwoo, what are you going to do?" "What I should have done a long time ago." He got out of the car and came around to help me, his hands gentle despite the fury I could feel radiating off him. "I'm going to make it very clear that nobody touches what's mine, not even my own blood." We rode the elevator up in silence. My arm throbbed despite the painkillers, and my head spun with what I'd just set in motion. Geonwoo had called his enforcer, had ordered his own father hunted down, had chosen me. Siwon had been wrong. Geonwoo hadn't needed to choose between family and me. He'd already made that choice the moment he saw my broken arm. The apartment was exactly as we'd left it hours ago, but it felt different now, tainted. Geonwoo settled me on the couch with pillows and blankets, made sure I had water and more painkillers within reach, and then he made his calls. I watched him pace the living room, phone pressed to his ear, giving orders in that cold, controlled voice that meant someone was about to have a very bad day. He called his cousins, his second in command, people whose names I recognized from family dinners and pack meetings. Each call was brief, efficient, and absolutely terrifying. "Cancel everything today. Family meeting at the warehouse. Mandatory attendance." Pull the security footage from the building. Last night between 10 and midnight. Get me everything you can find on my father's movements in the last 24 hours. No, I don't care what he says. If he tries to leave, stop him. He hung up from the last call and came to sit beside me, pulling me carefully against his side. How's the pain? Manageable, I lied. Yunho. It hurts, I admitted. But I'm okay. I'm more worried about you. He laughed, but it was empty. Don't be. I know exactly what I'm doing. He's your father. He broke your arm. Geonwoo's voice was flat. He threatened you in our home. He tried to manipulate you into keeping quiet by making you think I'd choose him over you. He turned to look at me and his eyes were absolutely certain. There's no choice, Yunho. There was never a choice. You're my mate. You're the person I'm building a life with. And he put his hands on you. What are you going to do to him? That depends on him, Geonwoo said quietly, on whether he's smart enough to apologize and accept the consequences, or stupid enough to try to justify what he did. His hand found mine, careful of my injury. Either way, he's not welcome in our life anymore. Not in this apartment, not at family gatherings, not anywhere near you. I'll make sure everyone knows what he did and what happens when you cross that line. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You made a mistake, Omega. He'll resent you for this eventually. Family is everything to alphas like my son. I showed it to Geonwoo, watched his expression go absolutely cold. Give me your phone, Shower-masan, he said. I handed it over. He typed something quickly and hit send, then blocked the number. What did you say? I told him that if he contacts you again, I'll make what's about to happen to him look gentle. He set my phone aside and pulled me closer. I mean it, Yunho. Nobody threatens you. Nobody tries to come between us. I don't care who they are. I'm scared, I whispered. Of me? Of what this means? Of what happens next? Your father he's powerful, Geonwoo. He has connections, influence. What if he tries to? He won't. Geonwoo's voice was absolutely certain. Because by the time I'm done, everyone in this city will know exactly what he did and exactly what happens when you hurt someone under my protection. He'll have nothing left to threaten us with. His phone rang. He answered immediately. Talk to me. A pause. Good. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Make sure he doesn't go anywhere. He hung up and stood. They found him. He's at his office. I'm coming with you, I said, starting to get up. No. He pressed a hand gently to my shoulder. You're hurt and you need to rest. I need to know you're safe while I handle this. Geonwoo, please. His voice softened. Let me do this for you. Let me protect you the way I should have been protecting you all along. He kissed me soft and careful. Daeshim is downstairs. He'll make sure nobody gets near this apartment. I'll be back before you know it. He left before I could argue, the door closing with a quiet click that sounded far too final. I sat there in the silent apartment, my arm throbbing, my heart racing, trying not to think about what was about to happen. Geonwoo had called his enforcers, had tracked down his own father, had made it clear that he was choosing me over blood. By dawn, Siwon would disappear. That's what Geonwoo's cold voice and careful orders meant. That's what happened in this world when you cross certain lines. And I'd be the reason a son destroyed his own father. My phone buzzed in my lap, startling me enough that pain shot through my arm again. I fumbled for it with my good hand, expecting another message from Siwon, another threat. Instead, it was Geonwoo. Stay inside. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. I typed back with shaking fingers. Be careful. The 3 dots appeared immediately then. Always. I love you. I love you too. The dots appeared again, lingered, then disappeared without another message. He was probably already at his father's office. Probably already walking through the door with that cold expression that made grown men nervous. I set the phone down and tried to breathe through the anxiety crawling up my throat. The apartment felt too quiet, too empty. Every sound made me jump. The building settling, someone walking past in the hallway, the distant sound of traffic outside. I pulled the blanket tighter around myself and tried not to think about what Geonwoo was doing, what he was saying, whether Siwon was fighting back or accepting his fate. 20 minutes passed, then 30. My phone stayed silent. I must have dozed off because the sound of the door opening jerked me awake, my heart hammering. But it was just Geonwoo, closing the door quietly behind him. He looked the same as when he'd left. Same clothes, same carefully controlled expression. But there was something different in his eyes, something darker. "Is it done?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He crossed to me and sat down heavily, like the weight of whatever he'd just done was finally catching up to him. "He's gone. By morning, everyone will know he's been exiled from the pack, stripped of his position, his territory rights, his access to family resources. He has 24 hours to leave the city. That's all." I hadn't meant it to sound disappointed, but it did. Geonwoo's jaw tightened. "I wanted to kill him. You need to understand that. I walked into his office and I wanted to put my hands on him the way he put his hands on you. Wanted to make him feel what you felt." He took a shaky breath. "But he's still my father. And exile is worse than death for someone like him. Everything he built, everyone he knows, gone. He'll live the rest of his life knowing he lost it all because he couldn't keep his hands off my mate." "Did he apologize?" "No." The single word was flat, emotionless. He said I was making a mistake, that I was choosing an omega over family legacy, that I'd regret it when you left me for someone who could give you a normal life. Jeonwoo's hand found mine, gentle despite the fury I could hear beneath his words. "I told him you are my family, you're my legacy, and if he ever comes near you again, exile will be the least of his problems." I should have felt relieved, victorious even. Instead, I just felt hollow. "I'm sorry. Don't." He pulled me carefully against his side, mindful of my arm. "Don't apologize for what he did. Don't apologize for telling me the truth. And definitely don't apologize for being the person I chose." His lips pressed against my temple. "I mean it, Yunho. I'd make the same choice 1,000 times. Your family supports my decision. I called them while I was driving back. My cousins, my second in command, everyone who matters. They all agreed that what he did crossed a line. Some of them wanted harsher punishment." His voice dropped lower. "My cousin Taejin said if I didn't handle it, he would. He hasn't forgotten what his own alpha did to him." Right. Taejin. The cousin Geonwoo had mentioned before. The one who'd been hurt by his bonded alpha. I'd met him a few times at family gatherings. Quiet, watchful, with scars on his wrists that he never talked about. "What did Siwon say when you told him he was exiled?" Geonwoo was quiet for a moment. He laughed, said I'd come crawling back when I realized running a territory required hard decisions and sacrifice. That I was too soft to do what needed to be done. His hand tightened on mine. Then Daishim escorted him out, and I watched security footage of last night. Watched him corner you in our kitchen. Watched him break your arm like it was nothing. My stomach turned. "You didn't need to see that." "Yes, I did. I needed to see exactly what he did so I'd never second-guess my decision." He shifted to look at me, his gray eyes intense. "I need you to understand something. What he said about you being a distraction, about making me weak, he was wrong. You make me stronger. You make me better. You're the reason I can make hard decisions, because I know exactly what I'm protecting." "Geonwoo, let me finish." His thumb brushed across my knuckles. "My father ruled through fear and control. He believed power came from making people afraid to cross you. But I've watched you work at that bookstore, watched you handle difficult customers with patience and kindness, watched you build relationships with people who have nothing to offer you except friendship. And I realize that's real power, making people loyal because they want to be, not because they're afraid." He leaned his forehead against mine. "So no, you're not a distraction. You're the whole point." Tears burned hot behind my eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything. Just stay." His voice went rough. "Stay with me. Build this life with me. Let me prove that choosing you was the easiest decision I've ever made." "I'm not going anywhere," I whispered. He kissed me then, soft and careful, like I was something precious that might break. When he pulled back, some of the darkness had left his eyes. "How's your arm?" "Hurts." "When's the last time you took pain medication?" I tried to remember. "Before we left for the hospital?" "That was hours ago." He was already getting up, already heading for the kitchen. You should have said something. I was a little distracted by everything else. He came back with water and pills, waited while I took them, then settled beside me again. You need to rest. Doctor's orders. I'm not tired. You're exhausted. I can see it. His hand moved to my hair, fingers running through it gently. Close your eyes. I'll be right here. What if your father comes back? He won't. But if he does, he'll have to go through me, Daishim, and about 15 very angry pack members who are currently making sure he gets on a plane tonight. His voice was absolutely certain. You're safe, Yunho, I promise. I wanted to believe him, wanted to close my eyes and trust that everything would be okay. But my mind kept spinning, kept circling back to the same thought. Siwon was gone because of me. Geonwoo had exiled his own father because of me. Hey! Geonwoo's voice pulled me back. I can hear you thinking. What's going on in there? I ruined your relationship with your father. No. His voice was firm. He did that the moment he decided hurting you was acceptable. You didn't make him break your arm. You didn't make him threaten you. You didn't make him think he could drive us apart. Those were his choices. He shifted so I was looking directly at him. And I made mine. I chose you. I'll always choose you. Even if it costs you everything. You are everything. He said it simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Everything else is just details. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from an unknown number, but the message made my blood run cold. Enjoy your victory while it lasts. Your alpha will realize his mistake soon enough. I showed it to Geonwoo, watched his expression go absolutely glacial. That's it. He took my phone and made a call. Taejin, I need you to trace a number for me. Someone's harassing Yunho. He rattled off the number from the text. I don't care if they're using a burner. Find them. He listened for a moment. Good. Let me know what you find. He hung up and handed my phone back. Taejin's the best tech specialist I know. If that number is traceable, he'll find it. What if it's your father? Then he's even stupider than I thought. Geonwoo's voice was cold. The terms of his exile were clear. No contact with pack members, especially you. If he's violating that already, I'll make sure his 24 hours becomes 24 minutes. I don't want you to have to hurt him again. Then he shouldn't have given me a reason to. He pulled me close again, careful of my arm. Stop worrying about him. He made his choices. Now he gets to live with the consequences. The painkillers were starting to kick in, making everything soft and distant. I leaned into Geonwoo's warmth and tried to let go of the fear sitting heavy in my chest. He was right. Siwon had made his choices, and Geonwoo had made his. Tell me something good, I mumbled, my eyes starting to close. Something that has nothing to do with any of this. His hand resumed its gentle movement through my hair. Like what? I don't know. Anything. Your favorite memory of us. The first time you knew you loved me. What you want for breakfast tomorrow. My words were starting to slur together. Just something normal. The first time I knew I loved you, he said quietly, was about 3 months after we started dating. You were working late at the bookstore, and I came to pick you up. There was this kid, maybe 8 or 9, crying because his mother said they couldn't afford the book he wanted, and I watched you buy it for him, told him it was a store promotion. You didn't know I saw. I remembered that. The kid had wanted a fantasy novel, something about dragons and magic. His mother had looked so tired, so defeated. It was just a book. It was kindness when you didn't have to be kind, when nobody was watching and you'd get nothing out of it except knowing you'd help someone. His voice went softer. That's when I knew, when I realized I wanted to spend the rest of my life with someone who saw a crying kid and thought, I can fix this, instead of walking past. That's a good memory, I whispered. The best. He pressed a kiss to my hair. Now sleep. I'll keep watch. You need to sleep too. I will, after I know you're resting. I wanted to argue, but the painkillers were pulling me under, and his warmth was making me feel safe despite everything. My eyes closed. His hand kept moving through my hair in steady, soothing strokes. Just before I drifted off completely, I heard him make another call. His voice was low, but I caught pieces of it. Security on the building. No one gets past the lobby, especially not him. I don't care what excuse he gives. Geonwoo was building walls around me, putting guards between me and his father, making sure I'd never have to be afraid again. I fell asleep thinking that maybe, just maybe, everything would actually be okay. I woke to voices, low and tense, coming from somewhere near the door. My arm throbbed dully, reminding me this wasn't a nightmare I could wake up from. The apartment was darker now, late afternoon shadows stretching across the walls. I'd been asleep for hours. Don't care what he told you, Geonwoo was saying, his voice sharp enough to cut. He's not coming inside. I don't care if he's bleeding out on the doorstep. He says he just wants to talk to Yunho. 5 minutes. That was Daeshim's voice, careful and measured. He's claiming it's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Geonwoo's laugh was empty. He broke Yunho's arm and threatened him into silence. Which part of that is the misunderstanding? I pushed myself up carefully with my good arm, my head still fuzzy from the medication. Geonwoo noticed immediately, turning away from Daeshim to cross the room in 3 strides. You should be resting, he said, his voice softening as he helped me sit up properly. Your father's here? In the lobby. Daeshim's handling it. His jaw was tight. He's not getting near you. Maybe I should talk to him. No. The word was flat, absolute. He had his chance to talk. He chose to use his hands instead. Geonwoo. Daeshim's voice carried a warning. He's making a scene. Building security is getting nervous. Geonwoo closed his eyes briefly, and I watched him physically force himself to stay calm. Fine, I'll handle it. He turned to me. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone. I'm coming with you. Yunho, he came here to talk to me. Let me hear what he has to say. I stood up, ignoring the way my head spun. I'm not hiding anymore. Something flickered in Geonwoo's eyes. Pride, maybe, or fear. He's going to try to manipulate you, make you feel guilty, make you think this is your fault. I know. I did know. I'd seen Siwon at family dinners, watched him work a room, seen how he could make people believe anything he wanted them to believe. But I need to hear it. Need to see him try. Geonwoo studied my face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, but I'm right beside you, and if he so much as looks at you wrong, I'm ending the conversation. Daeshim was waiting outside our door, his expression professionally blank, but his posture radiating tension. He's in the lobby. I've got 2 more men watching the exits. Good. Geonwoo's hand found mine, careful of my cast. Let's go. The elevator ride down felt like descending into cold water, each floor making it harder to breathe. Geonwoo's thumb traced circles on my palm, steady and grounding. Daeshim stood between us and the doors, a wall of solid muscle and quiet menace. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Siwon stood in the center of the lobby, looking every bit the powerful alpha he'd always been. Tailored suit, perfect posture, expression carefully arranged into concern. But I could see the calculation in his eyes, the way he was already planning his next move. Yunho, he said, taking a step forward. Daeshim moved to block him instantly. I'm so glad you're all right. When Geonwoo told me what happened, I was devastated. Stop. Geonwoo's voice cut through the lobby like a blade. Don't insult our intelligence by pretending you care. Siwon's expression shifted, hurt replacing concern so smoothly I might have believed it if I hadn't seen him break my arm, with that same face showing nothing. Son, I know you're angry, but there's been a terrible misunderstanding. You broke his arm. Geonwoo's hand tightened on mine. I watched the security footage, watched you corner him in our kitchen, watched you threaten him. So which part is the misunderstanding? The footage doesn't show context. It shows you putting your hands on my mate. Each word was deliberate, controlled. It shows you hurting someone under my protection, someone I love. That's all the context I need. Siwon's gaze shifted to me, and I saw the calculation sharpen. Yunho, surely you understand I was only trying to protect my son. You're young, inexperienced in our world. I was worried you'd become a target, that enemies would use you to get to Geonwoo. I was trying to make you understand the danger. By breaking my arm? My voice came out steadier than I felt. By telling me he'd choose you over me if I told him the truth? I never said that. You did. I held his gaze even though everything in me wanted to look away. You said if I told him what happened, you'd make sure he chose family over me, that I'd lose him forever. Something cold flickered in Siwon's eyes. The mask slipped just for a second, and I saw what was underneath. Not concern or protective instinct, but anger that his plan hadn't worked. You're twisting my words. I'm repeating them. My heart was hammering, but I kept my voice level. And now you're here trying to manipulate both of us. Trying to make Geonwoo doubt his decision. Trying to make me feel guilty for telling the truth. I stepped closer, felt Geonwoo move with me. But it won't work, because I know what you are now. Careful, Omega. Siwon's voice dropped, losing the artificial warmth. You're speaking to someone who's been leading this pack since before you were born. You were leading this pack, Geonwoo cut in. Past tense, as of this morning. You have no authority here. No position, no territory, no say in pack business. You're a civilian with 24 hours to leave the city. You can't be serious? I'm completely serious. Geonwoo's voice was ice. You put your hands on my mate. That's not just a betrayal of me. It's a betrayal of everything this pack stands for. Protection, loyalty, family. He paused. You taught me those values. Then you violated every single one. Siwon's expression hardened. You're making a mistake. This Omega has you thinking with your... Finish that sentence and I'll forget you're my father. Geonwoo's voice dropped to something dangerous. You've got 15 seconds to leave this building before I have Daeshim remove you. And trust me, he won't be gentle. You'll regret this. Siwon's mask was completely gone now, replaced by cold fury. When your enemies come for him, and they will, you'll remember I tried to warn you, that I tried to make you strong enough to do what needed to be done. I am strong enough. Geonwoo pulled me closer, his arm protective around my waist. Strong enough to protect what matters. Strong enough to cut out rot even when it shares my blood. Strong enough to build something better than what you built. He nodded to Daeshim. Get him out of here. Daeshim moved forward, and two other men in dark suits materialized from different corners of the lobby. Siwon looked at them, then back at Geonwoo, and for a moment I thought he might actually fight. Might force his son to have him physically removed. Then he laughed, empty and cold. You really think you can run this territory without me? You don't have what it takes, Geonwoo. You're too soft, too emotional, too controlled by an Omega who doesn't understand our world. His eyes found mine. And you think you've won something, but all you've done is paint a target on your back. Everyone who wants to hurt my son now knows exactly how to do it. They can try. My voice surprised me with its steadiness. But they'll have to go through me first, and I'm not as weak as you think. Siwon studied me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in his expression. Maybe respect, maybe just recalculation. We'll see, he said quietly. Then to Geonwoo, when this falls apart, and it will, don't come looking for my help. I won't need it. Geonwoo's voice was certain. I've got everything I need right here. Daeshim and the other men escorted Siwon toward the door. He didn't fight, didn't make a scene. He just walked out with his head high and his shoulders straight, every inch the powerful alpha he'd always been. But I'd seen the truth underneath, seen the desperation in his eyes when he realized he'd actually lost. The lobby doors closed behind him. Yunho let out a breath I hadn't realized he was holding. Are you okay? I asked quietly. I should be asking you that. He turned to face me, his hands coming up to frame my face. That was brave. Probably stupid, but brave. He needed to hear it from me. Needed to know I wasn't afraid of him anymore. Are you afraid? I thought about it, about Siwon's threats, his warnings about enemies and targets, about the reality of being bonded to someone like Geonwoo, someone powerful and dangerous and watched by people who wanted what he had. Yes, I admitted, but I'm more afraid of losing you. So I guess fear isn't really a good enough reason to run. His smile was soft, genuine. Good, because I'm not letting you go. He pressed his forehead to mine. We should get you back upstairs. You've been on your feet too long. I'm fine. Yunho, his voice carried a warning. Your arm is broken and you just confronted the man who broke it. Let me take care of you. I wanted to argue, but the truth was my arm was throbbing and my head felt fuzzy, and I was exhausted from the adrenaline crash. Okay. We rode the elevator back up in silence, Daeshim trailing behind us like a shadow. When we reached our floor, Geonwoo paused before opening the apartment door. I'm proud of you, he said quietly, for standing up to him, for not letting him twist the truth, for being stronger than he expected. I just told the truth. That's exactly what I mean. He unlocked the door and guided me inside. Truth takes courage, especially when lies are easier. The apartment felt safer now somehow, like confronting Siwon had removed some invisible threat. Geonwoo settled me back on the couch, tucked the blanket around me, checked my pain medication schedule. Are you hungry? He asked. You haven't eaten since this morning. I hadn't even thought about food, but my stomach chose that moment to growl. Maybe a little. I'll order something. What do you want? Whatever you're having is fine. He pulled out his phone, then paused. Yunho, I need to ask you something. My chest tightened. Okay. What he said about enemies using you to get to me. About painting a target on your back. He sat down beside me, his expression serious. He wasn't completely wrong. Being with me does put you in danger. There are people who'd love to hurt me by hurting you. And after today, after what I did to my own father, that danger just increased. I know. Do you? His gray eyes were intense. Because I need you to really understand what that means. It means security everywhere you go. It means being careful about who you trust. It means always having an exit plan and knowing where the panic buttons are. His voice dropped. It means living with the knowledge that someone might try to take you from me just to watch me break. Are you trying to scare me? I'm trying to be honest with you. His hand found mine. Because if you want out, if this is too much, I'll understand. I'll make sure you're protected, make sure you're safe, but I'll let you go if that's what you need. I looked at him. Really looked at him. At the man who'd exiled his own father to protect me, who'd built walls of security around our home, who was offering me an out even though I could see in his eyes how much it would cost him. I don't want out, I said firmly. I want you, all of it. The danger, the security, the complicated family dynamics. I want this life with you. Even knowing what it costs, especially knowing what it costs. I shifted closer, careful of my arm. Because it means you think I'm worth it, worth fighting for, worth choosing over everything else. I pressed my good hand over his heart. And you're worth it to me too. Worth staying for, worth being brave for. He pulled me close and just held me, his face buried in my neck. I felt him shake slightly, felt the tension bleeding out of him. I love you, he whispered against my skin. So much it terrifies me sometimes. I love you too. We stayed like that for a long moment, wrapped up in each other, letting the weight of everything that had happened finally settle. His phone buzzed, breaking the spell. He checked it and his expression tightened. What is it? Taijin traced that number, the one that texted you earlier. He showed me the screen. It's registered to one of my father's shell companies. He's been using it to contact people without it being traced back to him. So he's definitely the one sending threats. Looks like it. Geonwoo's jaw clenched, which means he's already violating the terms of his exile. What happens now? Now I make a call. He stood up, already dialing, and remind him that exile was the merciful option. I watched Geonwoo pace to the window, phone pressed to his ear, his shoulders tight with barely controlled anger. The call connected, and his voice went cold in a way that made my stomach drop. You have 5 seconds to explain why you're violating exile terms before I send people to finish what I started. He listened for a moment, and I saw his jaw clench. I don't care what you think you're entitled to. You contacted Yunho after I explicitly told you. He stopped, his free hand curling into a fist against the window frame. No, you don't get to justify this. You had your chance to walk away quietly. I couldn't hear Siwon's response, but I watched the tension in Geonwoo's spine increase with every passing second. Fine. His voice dropped to something absolutely lethal. You want to play games? Let's play. You've got 12 hours now instead of 24. And if I get even a hint that you've contacted anyone else in this pack, anyone connected to me or Yunho, I'll make sure exile is the least of your problems. He paused. That's not a threat. That's a promise. He hung up and stood there for a moment, breathing hard, before turning back to me. The look on his face made my chest ache. Fury and hurt and something that looked like grief all tangled together. He says he has a right to protect his legacy, Geonwoo said quietly, that I'm destroying everything he built, and he won't stand by and watch it happen. What did you say? That he destroyed it himself the moment he put his hands on you. He crossed back to me, sitting down heavily. He's not going to stop, Yunho. Not really. Even if he leaves the city, he's going to keep trying to manipulate things from a distance. Keep trying to prove I made a mistake. Then we prove him wrong. I shifted closer, wishing I could hold him properly instead of being hindered by this cast. We show him and everyone else that we're stronger together than we ever were under his control. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is. I leaned my head against his shoulder. Maybe we're the ones making it complicated by worrying about what he thinks. His arm came around me carefully. You're right. I know you're right. It's just... He stopped, and I felt him struggling with something. He's still my father, and part of me keeps waiting to feel guilty about what I did. But I don't. I just feel angry that he made me choose it all. You didn't have to choose, I said softly. He made that choice for you when he hurt me. I know. His hand found mine, lacing our fingers together. Doesn't make it easier. We sat in silence for a while, his thumb tracing patterns on my palm. Outside, the city was transitioning into evening, lights beginning to glow in windows across the street. Normal people living normal lives, probably not dealing with exiled fathers or broken arms or the complicated politics of pack hierarchy. Do you ever wish we were normal? I asked quietly. Just two people without all this weight? Every day, he admitted, and never. He turned to look at me. I wish you didn't have to deal with threats and security and dangerous family politics, but I can't wish away the life that made me who I am, because then I might not be someone you'd want. I'd want you anyway. You don't know that. I do. I squeezed his hand, because the things I love about you, the way you protect people, the way you make hard decisions, the way you stand up for what's right even when it costs you, those things come from this life. From learning how to navigate all this weight you're carrying. He studied my face for a long moment, something soft entering his expression. How are you real? What? You've known me for 3 years, been in love with me for most of that. You've seen the violence, the danger, the complicated mess of pack politics, and you're still here, still choosing this, still saying things that make me believe we might actually be okay. His hand came up to cut my face. How are you real? I could ask you the same thing. I turned into his touch. You exiled your own father to protect me. You're rebuilding your entire power structure because I told the truth about what he did. You're sitting here worried about whether I regret choosing you when you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Yunho, I mean it. I cut him off. Before you, I was just existing, going through motions, trying to be what everyone expected. And then you saw me, really saw me, and suddenly I was someone worth protecting, worth fighting for, worth choosing over everything else. Tears burned hot behind my eyes. So no, I don't wish we were normal. I wish your father hadn't hurt me, but I don't wish away any of the rest of it. He kissed me then, deep and claiming and desperate, like he was trying to prove something to both of us. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. I need to tell you something, he said, his voice rough. Something I've been thinking about since this morning. My heart stuttered. Okay. When I watched that security footage, when I saw him hurt you, he stopped, jaw working. For a second, I understood why people lose control, why they do things they can't take back. Because every instinct in me was screaming to find him and make him hurt the way he made you hurt. His grip on me tightened slightly. And the only thing that stopped me was knowing you'd be alone while I was handling it, that you needed me here more than you needed revenge. Geonwoo, let me finish. His voice cracked. I'm trying to tell you that you make me better, that having you here, needing to take care of you, needing to be someone you can depend on, it keeps me from becoming the kind of alpha my father was, the kind who solves everything with violence and fear. He pressed his forehead to mine. So when I say you make me stronger, I don't just mean emotionally, I mean morally. You're my conscience, Yunho. You're the reason I can make hard decisions without losing myself. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe around the emotion clogging my throat. So I just held him as tightly as my broken arm would allow and let him feel what I couldn't put into words. His phone buzzed again. He ignored it. It buzzed twice more in quick succession before he finally checked it with a frustrated sigh. It's Taijin, he said, scanning the messages. He wants to meet. Says he has information about my father's movements. He looked at me. I should go, but I don't want to leave you alone right now. I'll be fine. Daishim's outside, right? That's not the point. He set his phone down. After everything today, after my father showing up here, after those messages, I don't want you out of my sight. Then take me with you. Yunho, you're hurt. My arm is broken, not my legs. I pushed myself up carefully. And I'd rather be with you than sitting here worrying about what's happening. He studied me for a moment, clearly torn between keeping me safe and keeping me close. Finally, he nodded. Okay, but we're taking extra security, and if anything feels wrong, we're leaving immediately. Deal. He helped me to my feet, steadying me when I swayed slightly. The painkillers were wearing off, but I wasn't about to tell him that. He grabbed his jacket from the back of the couch, then paused. Wait here a second. He disappeared into our bedroom and came back carrying a shoulder holster and a compact pistol I'd never seen before. He caught my expression and his mouth tightened. Just a precaution, he said, checking the weapon with practiced efficiency. My father's desperate and cornered. That makes him unpredictable. Have you ever had to use that? Yes. He didn't elaborate, just finished securing the holster and shrugged his jacket on over it. Ready? I wasn't sure if anyone could really be ready for this kind of life, but I nodded anyway. Geonwoo opened the apartment door and Daishim straightened immediately from where he'd been leaning against the wall. We're going to meet Taijin, Geonwoo said. Call ahead, make sure the route is clear, and get Minho to bring the car around to the private entrance. Yes, sir. Daishim was already on his radio, speaking in low, clipped tones. We took the service elevator down, bypassing the main lobby entirely. Geonwoo kept me tucked against his side, his body positioned between me and the doors like he expected threats to materialize at any moment. The elevator opened into an underground parking garage I'd never seen before. A black SUV with tinted windows was waiting, engine running. A man I recognized as Minho stood by the passenger door, his eyes constantly scanning the garage. He nodded to Geonwoo and opened the back door. Where's Taijin? Geonwoo asked as he helped me into the vehicle. The safe house on Sterling Avenue, Minho replied. Says it's secure. Geonwoo slid in beside me and Daishim took the front passenger seat. The moment the doors closed, Minho pulled out smoothly. I watched the garage disappear behind us and tried to ignore the nervous flutter in my stomach. What kind of information do you think Taijin found? I asked quietly. I don't know, but if he called a meeting instead of just texting, it's important. Geonwoo's hand found mine in the darkness of the back seat. And probably not good news. The drive took 15 minutes through streets that grew progressively quieter and more residential. We pulled up in front of a nondescript townhouse with dark windows and a security camera visible above the door. Before we'd even stopped completely, the door opened and Taijin appeared. He looked different than I remembered from family gatherings, sharper somehow, more alert. His eyes swept the street behind us before settling on Geonwoo. Inside, he said simply. We need to talk. Geonwoo helped me out of the SUV and we followed Taijin into the house. The interior was sparse. Functional furniture, no personal touches, the kind of place designed to be abandoned at a moment's notice. Taijin led us to a room in the back, where multiple computer monitors glowed with security feeds and data streams. Your father's been busy, Taijin said without preamble. He pulled up something on one of the screens. In the 6 hours since you exiled him, he's made contact with 4 different people. 2 of them are rival pack leaders. One is a lawyer specializing in pack disputes. And one, he paused, his expression grim. One is Counselor Yunho from the Regional Pack Authority. Geonwoo went very still. He's filing a formal complaint. Looks like it. He's claiming you acted without proper cause, that you're emotionally compromised, that you're unfit to lead the territory. Taijin pulled up another screen showing what looked like legal documents. He's arguing that the exile was illegitimate and demanding a council review of your leadership. Can he do that? I asked, my voice sounding small in the tense room. Technically, yes, Geonwoo said quietly. Any pack member who feels they've been unjustly exiled can petition the council for review. If they find merit in the claim, they can overturn the exile or even remove the alpha who issued it. But you had cause, I protested. He broke my arm, which we can prove with security footage and medical records, Taijin interjected. But your father's arguing it was justified intervention to protect pack interests, that Yunho represents a security risk, and he was attempting to address it within family structure before it became a larger problem. I felt sick. He's twisting everything. That's what he does. Geonwoo's voice was tight. He's a master at making himself look reasonable while making his opponents look emotional and unstable. He looked at Taijin. When's the review scheduled? 3 days from now, Regional Council Chambers downtown. Taijin pulled up another document. You'll need to present evidence, witnesses, and a formal defense of your actions, and Yunho will probably need to testify. My stomach dropped. In front of the council? In front of the council, your father, and about 50 other pack leaders who will be there to watch, Taijin confirmed. It's going to be a spectacle. Your father's making sure of that. Geonwoo's hand tightened on mine. I won't make you do that. We'll find another way. No. The word came out stronger than I felt. If I have to testify, I will. If I have to stand in front of the entire pack authority and tell them what he did, I'll do it. I looked at Geonwoo. You protected me. Now let me protect you. Something shifted in Geonwoo's expression. Pride mixed with fear, hope tangled with worry. He opened his mouth to respond, but Taijin cut in before he could speak. There's more. Taijin pulled up another screen, this one showing what looked like financial records. Your father's been moving money. Large amounts. In the past 6 hours, he's liquidated 3 offshore accounts and consolidated everything into a single untraceable fund. How much? Geonwoo's voice was carefully controlled. 8 million, give or take. Taijin zoomed in on the transactions. That's enough to buy a lot of loyalty, enough to fund a challenge to your authority if he wanted to, or enough to disappear completely and start over somewhere else, I said quietly. Both of them looked at me. Geonwoo's eyes narrowed. What are you thinking? I'm thinking your father's not stupid. He knows the council review might not go his way. The evidence against him is pretty damning. So why would he file it at all unless... I stopped, the pieces clicking together in my head. Unless the review isn't the real plan, it's a distraction. Taijin leaned forward. Keep going. He files the complaint, makes a huge spectacle, gets everyone's attention focused on the council chambers 3 days from now. My heart was racing as the logic unfolded. Meanwhile, he's moving money, making contacts, building something in the background, something he can activate while everyone's watching the wrong thing. Geonwoo's jaw clenched. What kind of something? I don't know, but $8 million buys a lot of options. I looked at Taijin. Can you track where the money went after he consolidated it? I'm trying. He routed through 6 different shell corporations across 4 countries. Taijin's fingers flew across the keyboard. But there's a pattern emerging. Small transfers going out to specific accounts. Amounts that look like down payments or retainers? For what? Geonwoo moved closer to the screens. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Taijin pulled up another window. But 3 of the accounts belong to private security firms. Another 2 are registered to... Wait. He stopped, his expression going dark. One of them is registered to the Nakamura family. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Even I, with my limited knowledge of pack politics, knew that name. The Nakamura family controlled territory on the west side. Rival pack, dangerous connections, a history of bloody disputes with the Choi family that went back decades. He's making deals with them, Geonwoo said flatly. He's selling them information or access or... He stopped, his face going pale. He's selling them you. What? My voice came out too high. Think about it. The Nakamuras have wanted leverage over me for years. They've tried bribery, intimidation, violence. Nothing's worked. But now my father hands them the perfect opportunity. Geonwoo turned to me, and I saw real fear in his eyes for the first time. They take you, use you to force my hand, destabilize my leadership, and my father gets revenge while looking completely uninvolved. That's a massive assumption, Taejin started. Is it? Geonwoo cut him off. My father just got exiled. He's desperate, angry, and has $8 million to play with. He knows the council review is a long shot, but if he can't get his position back through legitimate means, he'll burn everything down trying. His hand found mine, gripping tight enough to hurt. And the fastest way to destroy me is to take away the one thing I value more than territory or power or legacy. My mouth went dry. So what do? We don't let you out of our sight. Geonwoo was already pulling out his phone. Taejin, I need you to dig into every transaction, every contact, every move my father's made. Find me proof of what he's planning. He started dialing. I'm calling in every favor I have, doubling security, locking down our territory. Geonwoo! I squeezed his hand, trying to ground him. You're spiraling. I'm being realistic. But his voice cracked slightly. You don't know the Nakamuras like I do. They don't just take hostages. They send them back in pieces to make a point. And if my father's given them information about you, about us, about our security protocols, he stopped, breathing hard. I can't lose you. I won't. You won't. I stood up, ignoring the throb in my arm. Because we're smarter than them. Because we see what they're planning. Because the lights went out. Complete darkness. The kind that presses against your eyes and makes your other senses go into overdrive. I heard Geonwoo move, felt his hand pull me behind him in one smooth motion, heard Taejin swear and the sound of a weapon being drawn. Backup generator should kick in, Taejin said quietly. 3, 2, nothing. The darkness stayed absolute. That's not a power failure, Geonwoo said, his voice deadly calm. That's deliberate. Taejin, where's your emergency exit? North wall behind the bookshelf. But if they cut the power, they probably have the exits covered. Glass shattered somewhere in the front of the house. Then another window. Closer. Footsteps, multiple sets, moving with purpose. Yunho, stay behind me. Geonwoo's voice was low and controlled, but I could feel the tension radiating off him. Taejin, we need light. A flashlight clicked on, the beam cutting through the darkness. Taejin had it mounted under his pistol, the light and weapon tracking together as he moved toward the door. We've got maybe 30 seconds before they breach this room. Then we move now. Geonwoo pulled me toward the north wall. Open the exit. Taejin was already there, one hand working something behind the bookshelf. I heard a click, then the sound of a panel sliding open. Cool air rushed in. The exit led outside, probably to an alley or service road. Go! Geonwoo pushed me toward the opening. Both of you go. I'll hold them off. Like hell you will. Taejin grabbed his arm. You're the primary target. If they're here for anyone, it's you. I'll cover while you get Yunho out. I'm not leaving you. The door exploded inward. Wood splintering, hinges tearing free. Dark figures poured through, backlit by flashlights that turned them into silhouettes. I couldn't see faces. Couldn't count how many, could only see the weapons in their hands. Geonwoo fired twice, the muzzle flash illuminating the room in stark white bursts. Someone screamed. Someone else returned fire, and I heard the bullet impact the wall inches from where we stood. Move! Taejin shoved us toward the exit. Now! Geonwoo grabbed my hand and pulled me through the opening. We stumbled into darkness, an alley narrow and lined with dumpsters. Behind us I heard more gunfire, heard Taejin shouting something I couldn't make out. We have to help him, I started. He can handle himself. Right now I need to get you somewhere safe. Geonwoo was already running, pulling me with him. My arm screamed in protest, but I forced myself to keep up. We hit the end of the alley. Geonwoo checked both directions, weapon up, then pulled me left. The street was empty, too empty. No cars, no pedestrians, nothing but streetlights and shadows. This is wrong, he muttered. This whole area should have traffic. A van screeched around the corner, headlights blazing. Geonwoo yanked me back against the wall as it roared past, then slammed to a stop 20 feet ahead. Doors opened. More figures emerged. Other way! He spun us around, but more headlights appeared from that direction too. We were boxed in. Geonwoo's phone buzzed. He checked it one-handed. His weapon still trained on the nearest vehicle. His face went white. "What?" I asked. "Message from my father." His voice was hollow. "It says, you should have chosen family." The figures were advancing now, moving in coordinated patterns that spoke of training and planning. Geonwoo backed us against the wall, putting himself between me and them, his pistol tracking from target to target. "How many rounds do you have?" I whispered. "Not enough." He glanced at me and I saw something desperate in his eyes. "Yunho, listen to me. When I move, you run. Don't look back. Don't stop. Get to the main street. Find people. Make noise. I'm not leaving you. You have to." His voice cracked. "If they take both of us, we're dead. But if you get away, if you can get help." He pressed his phone into my hand. "Speed dial 1 is Daisham. Tell him code black, Sterling Avenue. He'll understand. Geonwoo, please. I love you." He kissed me hard and fast. "Now run." He moved before I could respond, stepping away from the wall and firing in a controlled pattern that made the advancing figures scatter for cover. In the chaos, he shoved me hard toward a gap between buildings. "Run!" I ran. Hated myself for it, but I ran. My broken arm bounced against my chest with every step, sending waves of pain through me. Behind me, I heard more gunfire, heard Geonwoo shouting something I couldn't make out, heard footsteps following me into the gap between buildings. The alley was darker, narrower. My foot caught on something and I went down hard, the impact driving the air from my lungs. The phone skittered away across the pavement. I scrambled for it, my fingers closing around it just as a hand grabbed my shoulder. I screamed, lashed out with my good arm, connected with something solid. The grip loosened and I stumbled forward, phone clutched to my chest. "Stop running!" The voice was male, accented, coming from everywhere and nowhere in the darkness. "We don't want to hurt you. We just want to talk." I didn't believe that for a second. I kept moving, using the wall to guide me, praying the alley had another exit. My fingers found Geonwoo's phone, managed to unlock it, hit speed dial 1. It rang once, twice. "Pick up," I whispered desperately. "Please pick up." 3 rings. 4. Hands grabbed me from behind, yanking the phone away. I fought, kicking and clawing, but there were too many of them. Something pressed against my neck. Cold metal. The barrel of a gun. "Stop struggling or we shoot your alpha." The voice in my ear was calm, professional. "We have him surrounded. One wrong move from you and he's dead. Do you understand?" I stopped fighting, went completely still. "Good, Omega." The gun pressed harder. "Now you're going to walk with us very quietly to the van, and if you cooperate, maybe we let him live." They started pulling me back the way I'd come. I could see the mouth of the alley now, see the van's headlights cutting through the darkness. See Geonwoo on his knees in the street, 3 men with weapons pointed at his head. Our eyes met across the distance. I saw him mouth something. "I'm sorry." And then everything went to hell. The van exploded. Not a small explosion. A massive fireball that sent the vehicle flipping onto its side, metal shrieking as it tore apart. The men holding me stumbled back, momentarily distracted. I drove my elbow into someone's ribs and dropped, rolling away as chaos erupted around me. More vehicles roared onto the street, SUVs with tinted windows, men pouring out with weapons drawn. I recognized Daisham's voice shouting orders, recognized the coordinated assault pattern that spoke of pack enforcers who'd trained together for years. Someone grabbed my good arm, pulled me up. "Come on, Taejin," blood streaming down one side of his face, his shirt torn, but moving with deadly efficiency. He pulled me toward one of the SUVs, just as Geonwoo broke free from his captors and fought his way toward us. "Get him in!" Daishim appeared, providing covering fire as Taejin shoved me into the vehicle. Geonwoo dove in after me, and then we were moving, tires screaming as the driver gunned it. I twisted in my seat, looking back through the rear window. The street was chaos, Fires burning, men scattered, the sound of continued gunfire fading as we put distance between us and the ambush site. Is everyone, I started. They're handling it. Geonwoo pulled me against him, his hands running over me frantically checking for injuries. Are you hurt? Did they hurt you? I'm fine. My arm, but that was already... I stopped, really looking at him for the first time. Blood on his face, his jacket torn, knuckles split and raw. You're hurt. Doesn't matter. He crushed me against his chest. You're alive. That's all that matters. How did Daishim know where we were? I had Taejin send him our location the moment we entered the safe house. Geonwoo's voice was rough. Standard protocol. If something goes wrong, backup knows exactly where to go. Taejin leaned forward from the front seat. Your father coordinated that attack. Had to be him. Nobody else knew we'd be there tonight. I know. Geonwoo's arms tightened around me. Which means this is just the beginning. The words hung heavy in the air between us. Just the beginning. I felt Geonwoo's heartbeat hammering against my cheek, felt the way his hands trembled slightly even though his voice stayed controlled. Behind us, sirens wailed in the distance. Police responding to the explosion, probably. Too late to matter. Where are we going? I asked, pulling back enough to see his face. Somewhere he can't find us. Geonwoo looked at Daishim in the driver's seat. The warehouse on Pier 12. Full lockdown protocol. That's where you were going to bring your father, I said quietly, when you first found out what he did. It's the most secure location we have. Reinforced walls, single access point, security systems that make Fort Knox look casual. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing across my cheekbone. I'm not taking any more chances with your safety. Taejin twisted around from the front seat, pressing something against the bleeding cut on his temple. We need to assume he has intel on all our regular safe houses. He helped design most of them. I know, Geonwoo's jaw clenched, which is why the warehouse is our best option. It was my project, not his. He's never even been inside. The SUV took a sharp turn, and I grabbed onto Geonwoo to keep from sliding. My broken arm protested, and I couldn't stop the small sound of pain that escaped. Your arm! Geonwoo's voice went sharp with concern. You fell. I saw you go down in the alley. It's fine, just bruised. I tried to smile, but my face felt tight. The cast did its job. You shouldn't have had to run at all. You shouldn't have been anywhere near that situation. His voice cracked slightly. I should have seen it coming. Should have known he'd move this fast. How could you have known? I caught his hand, lacing our fingers together. Your father just got exiled this morning. It's been less than 12 hours. 12 hours is an eternity for someone like him, Taejin interjected. Geonwoo's right. We should have anticipated immediate retaliation. Should have gone to ground the moment the exile was official. Stop! I looked between them, seeing the guilt and self-recrimination written across both their faces. Both of you stop. We all survived. That's what matters. Yunho's right. Daishim spoke for the first time, his eyes on the rearview mirror, constantly checking behind us. Beating ourselves up helps nothing. We adapt and move forward. The warehouse appeared ahead, a massive structure of steel and concrete sitting at the edge of the industrial district, surrounded by chain-link fence and security cameras. Daishim pulled up to a gate that slid open automatically as we approached. The SUV's headlights swept across empty parking spaces and loading docks before we pulled into a private garage entrance. The door rolled shut behind us with a sound of finality that made my stomach clench. We were sealed in. Safe, maybe, but also trapped if something went wrong. Geonwoo helped me out of the vehicle, his hands steady even though I could see the tension in every line of his body. The garage was clinical. LED lights, concrete floors, another security door leading deeper into the building. This way. He guided me toward the door, one hand at the small of my back. Taejin and Daishim flanked us, weapons still drawn, eyes scanning shadows. The door required 3 different security measures: key card, fingerprint, and retinal scan. Geonwoo moved through them quickly, and the door hissed open to reveal a corridor lined with more cameras and reinforced walls. How many people know about this place? I asked as we walked. 7. All of them people I trust with my life. He glanced at me. 8 now, counting you. The corridor opened into what looked like a command center, Banks of monitors showing security feeds from around the building and throughout the city, communications equipment, weapons lockers, and a conference table that had clearly seen heavy use. Three men I didn't recognize looked up as we entered, their expressions shifting from alert to relieved when they saw Geonwoo. "Sir," the oldest one stood, nodding respectfully. "We got Daeshim's code black. Status? Ambush at the Sterling Avenue location. Multiple hostiles, probably Nakamura family backed by my father." Geonwoo moved to the monitors, scanning the feeds with sharp eyes. "We need full perimeter security and eyes on every access point within a mile radius. Nobody gets close without us knowing about it." "Already in progress." The man pulled up several screens showing aerial views of the surrounding area. "We've got drones up and street cameras patched in. If anything moves, we'll see it." "Good." Geonwoo turned to Taejin. "I need you to pull everything you can find on those transactions. Every contact my father's made, every dollar he's moved. I want to know exactly what resources he's working with." "On it." Taejin moved to a workstation and started typing, his injured face setting concentration. I stood there feeling useless, cradling my broken arm and trying to process everything that had happened in the past few hours. Geonwoo must have noticed because he crossed back to me, his expression softening. "Come on, there's a medical station in the back. Let's make sure you're actually okay." He led me through another door into a smaller room equipped with medical supplies that would put most clinics to shame. He guided me to sit on an examination table and started carefully checking my arm, his touch gentle despite the urgency in his movements. "Any new pain? Increased swelling?" "No, it's the same as before." I watched his face as he worked, the furrow between his brows, the tightness around his eyes. "Geonwoo, talk to me. What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking my father just tried to have you kidnapped, possibly killed." His hand stilled on my arm. "I'm thinking he coordinated with the Nakamuras, our oldest enemies, to get to you. I'm thinking if Daeshim had been 30 seconds slower." He stopped, breathing hard. "I'm thinking I almost lost you. But you didn't." I reached up with my good hand, making him look at me. "We got out. We're safe now." "For how long?" His voice was raw. "Yunho, my father has resources we're only beginning to understand. Money, connections, information about our operations. He's been planning this, maybe not this specifically, but something, for longer than we realized. That ambush was too coordinated, too well-timed. He knew exactly where we'd be and exactly when. Which means he has someone inside your organization." The thought made my skin crawl. "Someone close enough to know your movements." "I know." He pulled out his phone, dialing quickly. "Which is why I'm calling an emergency meeting. Every key player, every person with access to sensitive information. We're going to figure out who the leak is." The call connected. "Minho, it's me. Gather everyone at the warehouse. I don't care what they're doing. Family dinner, sleeping, whatever. I need them here within the hour." He paused. "No exceptions. And Minho? If anyone refuses or makes excuses, I want their name immediately." He hung up and turned back to me, his expression determined but haunted. "I'm going to find whoever betrayed us. And when I do, they'll face consequences." I finished for him. "But right now, I need you to focus on what we know, not what we're afraid of." "What do you mean?" "We know your father is working with the Nakamuras. We know he's moved $8 million. We know he's filed a council complaint as a distraction." I ticked the facts off on my fingers. "We know he has at least one person feeding him information from inside your operation. Those are concrete things we can work with." Something shifted in his expression. "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Being the one who sees clearly when I'm too close to the situation." He cupped my face with both hands. "How are you so calm right now? You were just attacked, almost kidnapped. You have every right to be falling apart." "I'll fall apart later," I said quietly. "Right now you need me to be strong, so that's what I'm being." He kissed me then, deep and desperate, like he was trying to memorize the feel of me. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I don't deserve you. Too bad. You're stuck with me." I managed a small smile. "Now go deal with your meeting. Find your leak. I'll be right here. I'm not leaving you alone. I'll stay with him." Daeshim appeared in the doorway. "I need to check my own injuries anyway. Caught some shrapnel from the van explosion. Geonwoo looked between us, clearly torn. Finally, he nodded. Keep the door locked. Anyone tries to come in besides me or Tajin, shoot first and ask questions later. Understood. Daeshim moved into the room, already pulling off his jacket to examine a bleeding cut on his arm. Geonwoo kissed me one more time, soft and lingering, then forced himself to leave. I heard the lock click into place behind him. He's taking this hard, Daeshim said quietly, starting to clean his wound with efficient movements. His father just tried to have me kidnapped. I think hard is an understatement. I watched him work, noting the precision despite the injury. How bad is it? Superficial. I've had worse. He glanced at me. How are you really doing? And don't say fine. I've seen enough trauma to recognize it. I thought about lying. Thought about maintaining the strong facade I'd been holding on to since the moment the lights went out. But something about Daeshim's steady presence, his matter-of-fact tone, made the words come tumbling out. I'm terrified, admitted. Not just for me, for Geonwoo. His father is destroying him from the inside out, making him question everything, forcing him to see betrayal in his own organization. And the worst part is, I'm the reason for all of it. No. Daeshim's voice was firm. Siwon is the reason for all of it. He made the choice to hurt you. He made the choice to betray his son. He made the choice to work with enemies and hire mercenaries. You're not responsible for his decisions. But if Geonwoo and I had never gotten together, then Siwon would have found some other excuse to try to maintain control. Daeshim finished bandaging his arm and turned to face me fully. I've worked for the Choi family for 15 years. I watched Siwon raise Geonwoo, watched him mold his son into the perfect heir. But the moment Geonwoo started making his own decisions, started showing he had his own vision for how to lead, Siwon couldn't handle it. This confrontation was inevitable. You just happened to be the catalyst. That doesn't make me feel better. It should, because it means you didn't break anything. You just revealed what was already broken. He moved to check my cast, gentle despite his size. And for what it's worth, I've never seen Geonwoo as focused and certain as he's been since he met you. You make him better, stronger, more human. Before I could respond, raised voices erupted from the main room. Geonwoo's voice sharp with fury. Another voice I didn't recognize, defensive and angry. Then a third voice trying to mediate. That would be the meeting starting? Daeshim said dryly. This ought to be interesting. The voices grew louder. I heard something crash. Furniture maybe, or equipment. Heard Geonwoo shout a name I didn't catch. Heard what sounded like a scuffle. Should we? I started. The medical room door slammed open. Taijin stood there, his face grim. We found the leak, he said, and you're not going to believe who it is. My stomach dropped. Daeshim was already moving past Taijin, weapon drawn, his entire demeanor shifting from calm to deadly in a heartbeat. I followed on instinct, my broken arm forgotten as adrenaline flooded my system. The main room was chaos. Geonwoo had someone pinned against the wall, a man I recognized from family gatherings, someone who'd smiled at me over dinner just weeks ago. Minho, his second in command. Blood dripped from Minho's nose, and his hands were zip-tied behind his back. How long? Geonwoo's voice was ice and fury. How long have you been feeding my father information? Minho's face was pale but defiant. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Geonwoo slammed him against the wall again. You sold us out. You gave him our location tonight. You're the reason Yunho almost got taken. So I'll ask again. How long? 3 months. The words came out broken, defeated. Since he first approached me, since he told me you were making mistakes, getting soft, prioritizing an omega over pack interests. Geonwoo's fist connected with Minho's jaw, and the sound echoed in the sudden silence. Don't you dare talk about him. Don't you dare justify betraying everyone who trusted you. Geonwoo. I moved forward without thinking, my good hand catching his arm before he could throw another punch. Stop. We need information more than we need revenge right now. His gray eyes met mine, and I saw something wild there, something barely controlled. But he stepped back, breathing hard, his fists still clenched. Talk, he said to Minho. Tell us everything, or I let Daeshim handle this instead of me. And trust me, you don't want that. Minho sagged against the wall, blood running down his chin. Your father contacted me 3 months ago, said you were compromised, that your relationship with Yunho was making you vulnerable to enemies. He said if I helped him, he'd make sure the pack stayed strong, stayed protected. He laughed bitterly. I believed him, thought I was doing the right thing. What did you tell him? Taejin asked from his position at the monitors. Everything. Schedules, security protocols, safe house locations. Tonight I told him you were meeting at Sterling Avenue. Minho's voice dropped. I didn't know he was going to work with the Nakamuras. Didn't know he'd try to have Yunho taken. I thought he just wanted leverage to convince you to step down voluntarily. You thought wrong. Geonwoo's voice was flat. What else? What other plans does he have? The council review in 3 days. It's not just about overturning the exile. Minho met Geonwoo's eyes. It's about removing you entirely. Your father's been building a case that you're unstable, emotionally compromised, unfit to lead. He has testimonies lined up, evidence of decisions you've made that he's framing as reckless. From who? Daishim moved closer, his weapon trained on Minho's head. Who else has he corrupted? I don't know all of them. He keeps people compartmentalized, doesn't let anyone see the full picture. Minho's gaze shifted to me. But he's built everything around you, Yunho, around proving that you're a weakness, a liability, that Geonwoo's attachment to you has made him incapable of protecting pack interests. My chest felt tight. So if I testify at the review, you'll be walking into a trap. Minho's voice was urgent now. Every question will be designed to make you look manipulative or incompetent. Every answer will be twisted to support his narrative. And if you refuse to testify, he'll claim Geonwoo is hiding you because there's something to hide. It's a no-win scenario. Taejin said what we were all thinking. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Geonwoo pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. Not necessarily. What if we don't play his game at all? What do you mean? I asked. I mean we stop reacting and start acting. He showed me the phone screen, a message draft to someone named Counselor Jisoo. My father wants a public spectacle? Fine, we'll give him one, but not the one he's expecting. You want to take the fight to him, Daishim said slowly, before the council review. Exactly. Geonwoo started pacing, his strategic mind clearly working through possibilities. We have proof of his collaboration with the Nakamuras. We have a confession from his inside man. We have security footage of him breaking Yunho's arm. We compile everything, present it directly to the regional council, and force them to act before he can control the narrative. That's risky, Taejin warned. Going over the scheduled review, bypassing normal procedures, it could make you look desperate. Or it could make me look like a leader who doesn't wait around while his father plots revenge. Geonwoo stopped pacing. Either way, I'm done being reactive. Done letting him set the terms. I watched him transform before my eyes, saw the grief and guilt fall away, replaced by cold calculation and absolute certainty. This was the alpha who'd built a reputation for decisive action, the one his father had trained to lead. What about me? Minho asked quietly. What happens now? Geonwoo turned to look at him, and his expression was utterly devoid of mercy. Now you face pack justice for betrayal. Normally that means exile or worse, but I'm going to offer you a choice. He moved closer. You can disappear quietly, leave the city, never come back, live out your life knowing you betrayed everyone who trusted you. Or you can help us. Help you how? My father still thinks you're his asset. He doesn't know we found you out. A dangerous smile crossed Geonwoo's face. So you're going to keep feeding him information, except now, it'll be exactly what we want him to know. Understanding dawned on Minho's face. You want to use me to set a trap. I want to use you to end this. Geonwoo's voice was steel. You help us take him down completely, prove your loyalty wasn't completely destroyed, and maybe you get to keep your life. Refuse and I let Daishim show you what happens to traitors. Minho looked at Daishim's cold expression, then back to Geonwoo. What do you need me to do? For now? Nothing. Keep your normal routine. Respond to my father's contacts like nothing's changed. Geonwoo pulled him away from the wall. But when the time comes, you're going to help us prove exactly who he's been working with and what he's been planning, and you're going to do it in front of the entire regional council. He'll kill me, Minho's voice shook. If he finds out I turned on him, he won't get the chance. Geonwoo's hand landed on Minho's shoulder, not gentle but not violent either. Because by the time he realizes what's happening, he'll be the one facing consequences. Not you, not us, him. Taejin cleared his throat. Geonwoo, if we're really doing this, going after him before the scheduled review, we need to move fast. Like tomorrow fast. The longer we wait, the more time he has to prepare. Agreed. Geonwoo looked at me. Which means you and I need to have a conversation about what comes next. My stomach clenched. What kind of conversation? The kind where I ask you to trust me completely. He moved closer, his hands finding mine. And where I ask you to do something that's going to be incredibly difficult and possibly dangerous. You want me to testify? It wasn't a question. I want you to be the one who destroys his case. His gray eyes were intense. Not by defending yourself or our relationship, but by showing the council exactly who he really is. By making him face what he did in front of everyone who matters. How? By telling the complete truth. His thumb brushed across my knuckles. No holding back, no protecting anyone's reputation. You tell them everything. How he broke your arm, how he threatened you, how he tried to manipulate you into silence. You show them the security footage. You let them see the medical records, and you make them understand that this isn't about an omega manipulating an alpha. It's about a father who abused his power and then tried to destroy evidence when he got caught. That's going to make me a target, I said quietly. Not just from your father, from everyone who thinks omegas should stay quiet and not challenge alphas in power. I know, his voice cracked slightly, and I hate that I'm asking you to do it. But Yunho, you're the only one who can make this case in a way that can't be dismissed or explained away. You're the victim. You're the evidence. And when you stand in front of that council and tell your truth, nobody will be able to deny what he did. I thought about standing in front of dozens of powerful alphas and exposing my weakness, my fear, everything that had happened. About facing Siwon's cold eyes and knowing he'd try to twist every word I said. Then I thought about Geonwoo exiling his own father to protect me. Thought about him taking a bullet meant for me. Thought about the way he'd look tonight when he thought I might be taken from him. Okay, I said, I'll do it. Relief and fear warred across his face. You're sure? No? I squeezed his hand. But I trust you, and I'm not going to let your father destroy what we've built just because I'm scared of what people might think. He pulled me into his arms, careful of my broken arm, and just held me. I felt him trembling slightly, felt the way his breath caught. Thank you, he whispered against my hair. I'll keep you safe. I promise. I know. And I did know. Whatever came next, whatever his father had planned, Geonwoo would stand between me and it, even if it cost him everything. Taejin's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression went grim. We have a problem, major problem. Geonwoo pulled back. What now? Your father just made a move, a big one. Taejin turned his screen around to show us. He's called for an emergency leadership vote. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. He's invoking the challenge clause. The room went silent. Even I, with my limited knowledge of pack law, understood what that meant. A challenge clause was reserved for extreme circumstances, when an alpha's leadership was so clearly failing that immediate action was required. He can't do that, Geonwoo said, but his voice lacked conviction. He's exiled. He has no standing. He's claiming the exile was illegitimate, which means technically he still has rights as former pack leader until the council rules otherwise. Taejin pulled up more documents. And he's got 15 pack leaders supporting the challenge. That's enough to force a vote. Who? Geonwoo moved to the monitors. Show me who signed on. Taejin pulled up a list. I watched Geonwoo's face as he read through the names, watched him recognize people he'd trusted, people who'd sat at his table, people who'd called him family. They're doing this because of me, I said quietly, because I'm an omega, and they think they're doing this because my father is a master manipulator who knows exactly which insecurities to exploit. Geonwoo's voice was hard. Every one of these names. They're alphas who've questioned my decisions before, who think I'm too progressive, too willing to give omegas power they don't deserve. He turned to look at me. They were always going to be problems. My father just gave them an excuse. So what do we do? Daishim asked. If the vote happens tomorrow, then we make sure we win it. Geonwoo's expression shifted into something cold and calculating. Taejin, I need you to contact everyone we trust, everyone who's ever benefited from my leadership, everyone who believes in what we're building. I need them at that vote tomorrow, and I need them ready to stand against my father publicly. That's a lot of people to coordinate in. Taejin checked his watch. Less than 12 hours. Then we'd better get started. Geonwoo looked at Minho. You're going to help. You know who's on the fence, who might be swayed. You're going to reach out to them and tell them exactly why they should support me over my father. They'll ask why I changed sides, Minho said. Then tell them the truth. Tell them you realize my father's vision isn't about protecting the pack. It's about maintaining his own power at any cost. Geonwoo's voice was steel. Tell them that when you saw what he was willing to do to an innocent Omega just to hurt me, you understood who the real threat was. Minho nodded slowly. I can do that. Good. Geonwoo pulled out his phone and started making calls. Because tomorrow morning, my father's going to learn that you can't destroy everything someone's built and expect them not to fight back. I watched him work, making calls, giving orders, coordinating with a precision that spoke of years of leadership experience. This was the alpha everyone followed, the one who could see 10 steps ahead and plan for every contingency. But I also saw the exhaustion in his eyes. The weight of knowing his own father was trying to destroy him. Saw the way his hands shook slightly when he thought no one was looking. Geonwoo, I said quietly, catching his attention between calls. When this is over, when we've won or lost or whatever happens tomorrow, we need to talk, really talk, about all of this. Something vulnerable flickered across his face. I know, but first we have to survive tomorrow. We will. I said it with more confidence than I felt. Because your father made one critical mistake. What's that? He thought breaking my arm would break us apart. I moved closer to him, but all he did was show us exactly how strong we are together. Geonwoo's expression softened for just a moment, something grateful and aching passing through his eyes before he had to turn back to another incoming call. I watched him pace across the room, phone pressed to his ear, his free hand gesturing as he spoke with controlled intensity to whoever was on the other end. I don't care what excuse he gave you, Geonwoo was saying. What I care about is whether you're going to stand with me tomorrow when it matters. A pause. Good. 9 a.m., regional council chambers. And Shungjai? Bring anyone else you can convince. We need numbers. He hung up and immediately dialed another number. Taejin was doing the same at his workstation, his fingers flying across the keyboard between calls, pulling up files and records. Daishim had Minho in the corner, going through a list of names and discussing who might be persuaded to switch sides. I stood there feeling useless, my broken arm a constant reminder that I was the reason for all of this chaos. The reason Geonwoo was spending the night making desperate calls instead of sleeping. The reason his entire leadership was being questioned. Stop, Geonwoo said quietly. I looked up to find him watching me, phone still to his ear but his attention entirely on my face. I can see you spiraling. Don't. He said something to whoever was on the call, then lowered the phone. This isn't your fault. You don't know what I was thinking. I know that look. I've seen it every time you blame yourself for my father's choices. He crossed to me, his hand finding my cheek. We've been over this. He made his decisions. We're just dealing with the consequences. Geonwoo, you have calls. They can wait 30 seconds. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. You're exhausted. Your arm is probably killing you, even if you won't say it. And you're standing here trying to hold yourself together while I make calls and plan strategy like you're not the most important person in this room. His voice dropped lower. Sit down. Take the pain medication Daishim left out. Let me handle this part. I want to help. You are helping. By being here. By agreeing to testify tomorrow. By being the reason I'm fighting this hard. He pressed a quick kiss to my forehead. Now please, for me, sit down before you fall down. I wanted to argue, but the truth was my legs were shaking and my arm throbbed with every heartbeat. I moved to one of the chairs against the wall and sank into it gratefully. Geonwoo nodded approval and went back to his calls. Taejin glanced over at me from his workstation. Water's in the mini fridge behind you, and there's food if you're hungry. Protein bars, nothing fancy but better than nothing. I found the water, managed to open the bottle one-handed, and took the pain medication Daishim had set out earlier. The pills were strong enough that I could feel them starting to work almost immediately, making everything softer and more distant. Got another one, Taejin called out. Counselor Myung just confirmed she'll be there tomorrow. She's bringing 3 others from her territory. That's 12 confirmed supporters, Geonwoo said, checking something on his own phone. We need at least 20 to guarantee the challenge fails. What happens if we don't get 20? I asked, my voice coming out quieter than intended. Geonwoo and Taejin exchanged a look. Finally, Geonwoo came to sit beside me, his expression carefully controlled. If we don't get enough support, the challenge succeeds, which means a formal leadership review, an investigation into my decisions, and potentially removal from my position as Territory Alpha. He took my hand. It also means my father could petition to have his exile overturned, claiming it was issued by someone acting outside their authority. And me? You'd still testify at the formal review, still have your chance to tell your story, but it would be in front of a council that's already decided I'm compromised, which means they'd be looking for ways to discount your testimony. His jaw clenched. They'd say you're biased, that you're trying to protect me, that an Omega can't be trusted to accurately report what happened. I stopped, not even knowing what word to use. Unfair didn't begin to cover it. That's insane. That's pack politics. Taejin didn't look up from his screen. Omegas testifying against alphas in power, especially alphas with Siwon's reputation, is complicated. Half the council will be looking for reasons to dismiss you before you even open your mouth. Which is why we need to win tomorrow's vote, Geonwoo said firmly. If we shut down the challenge before it gains momentum, we control the narrative. We present our evidence on our terms, make the council see my father for what he really is. His phone rang again. He checked the screen, and his expression tightened. It's my cousin Jaewon. He's been on the fence about this whole situation, he answered. Jaewon, thanks for calling back. I couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but I watched Geonwoo's face as he listened. Watched tension creep into his shoulders, watched his free hand curl into a fist. I understand your concerns, Geonwoo said carefully, but I need you to understand something too. My father broke an Omega's arm in my home because he didn't approve of our relationship. That's not protecting pack interests. That's abuse of power. A pause. Yes, I'm aware of the optics. I'm also aware that if we let alphas get away with violence just because they're in positions of authority, we're no better than the worst packs out there. Another pause, longer this time. I'm asking you to trust me, Geonwoo said, and I heard the strain in his voice. Trust that I haven't lost perspective. Trust that I know what I'm doing. Trust that the person you've known your whole life wouldn't throw away everything we've built for no reason. He listened. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I need you there, Jaewon. I need family. He hung up and stood there for a moment, breathing hard. He's not coming, is he? I said quietly. He's thinking about it. Janwoo's voice was flat, which means no, he's not coming, because if he was really on my side, he wouldn't need to think about it. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing for other people's choices. He came back to sit beside me, and I could see the exhaustion finally starting to show through his careful control. Jaewon made his decision. We move forward with the people who are actually loyal. 14 confirmed, Taejin called out. Just got text from 2 more. That's better. Geonwoo leaned his head back against the wall. But still not enough. I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw past the alpha everyone else saw to the person underneath. Someone who was scared and hurt and trying desperately to hold everything together while his own family tore itself apart. When's the last time you slept? I asked. I don't remember. Geonwoo. I'll sleep when this is over. But his eyes were already closing, his body sagging against the wall. Just need a few more calls. I caught his hand and squeezed it. Take a break, even just 10 minutes. You're not going to be any use to anyone if you collapse. Can't. but his voice was slurring slightly. Too much to do. Taejin and Daishim have it covered for now, and I'm right here. Nothing's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. I shifted closer, letting him lean against me. Please? Just 10 minutes. He was asleep before he could argue further, his breathing evening out into something deep and steady. I sat there holding him, my broken arm protesting, but I didn't care. He'd been holding me together all night. The least I could do was return the favor. That's the first time I've seen him actually rest since this started, Daishim said quietly from across the room. Good work. He's going to burn out if he keeps going like this. I know, but try telling him that. Daishim moved closer, checking something on his phone. For what it's worth, you're good for him. I've worked for the Choi family for 15 years, and I've never seen Geonwoo fight this hard for anything, or anyone. His father would say that's the problem. His father's an idiot. Daishim's voice was matter-of-fact. Siwon built his power on fear and control. Geonwoo's building his on loyalty and respect. Long-term, there's no competition which approach works better, but short-term, Siwon's methods look more impressive to people who don't understand the difference. Will it be enough tomorrow? Honestly, I don't know. He met my eyes. But I know Geonwoo's not going down without a fight, and neither are the people who believe in him. Geonwoo's phone buzzed in his pocket. I carefully extracted it and checked the screen. Another message. This one from someone named Heejun. I couldn't read the full message without unlocking the phone, but the preview said, "Count me in tomorrow, bringing 5 others." Taejin, I called softly. Add Heejun and 5 others to the confirmed list. That's 20. Taejin looked up, something like hope entering his expression. That's the threshold. If they all show up, we can shut down the challenge. If they show up, Daishim cautioned, Siwon's had hours to work on people too. He could be making promises, offering deals, threatening consequences. Between now and 9 a.m., any of those confirmations could change their minds. So what do? We keep working. Taejin turned back to his screens. Keep making calls, keep gathering evidence, keep building our case, and hope it's enough. Geonwoo stirred against me, his eyes opening slowly. Did I fall asleep? For about 7 minutes. I need to... He started to get up. You need to take care of yourself, I interrupted, because tomorrow's going to be brutal, and you won't survive it if you're falling apart. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, but only if you do the same. Your arm needs rest, and you need sleep. Deal. He stood and helped me up, guiding me toward a door I hadn't noticed before. Behind it was a small room with a bed, basic but clean. The warehouse has living quarters for emergencies. This is probably the safest place in the city right now. You're staying with me. I should keep making calls. Geonwoo. I caught his hand. Please, just a couple hours. We both need it. He hesitated, clearly torn between responsibility and exhaustion. Finally, he nodded. 2 hours, then we get back to work. 2 hours, I agreed. We laid down together on the narrow bed, his arms careful around me, mindful of my cast. I could feel how tense he still was, how his mind was still racing even as his body demanded rest. Tell me something good, I whispered into the darkness. Something we're going to do when this is over. When this is over, he said quietly, I'm taking you away from all of this. Somewhere quiet, somewhere safe. Maybe the coast. You've never seen the ocean, right? Never. Then that's where we'll go. Just us, no pack politics, no territory disputes, no fathers trying to destroy everything we've built. His hand found mine, lacing our fingers together. We'll watch the sun rise over the water and remember that there's more to life than all of this. That sounds perfect. It will be, I promise. His breathing was starting to slow, sleep pulling at him again. Love you, Yunho. Love you too. He drifted off holding me, and I laid there listening to his heartbeat, steady and strong. Tomorrow would bring the fight of our lives. Tomorrow we'd face his father and the entire pack leadership and potentially lose everything. But tonight, right now, we had this, each other, and somehow that felt like enough. I must have fallen asleep too, because the next thing I knew, someone was shaking my shoulder gently. I opened my eyes to find Taejin standing over us, his expression urgent. "It's 7 a.m., he said quietly, "and we have a situation." Siwon just released a statement to the entire regional pack network. "You both need to see this." Geonwoo was awake instantly, that alpha alertness kicking in even through obvious exhaustion. He sat up carefully, his hand still holding mine, as we followed Taejin out of the small room and back into the command center. The monitors were all displaying the same thing. A video statement, frozen on Siwon's face. "He posted it 20 minutes ago," Taejin said, pulling up the video. "It's already been shared across every major pack network in the region. Thousands of views." "Play it," Geonwoo said, his voice tight. Taejin hit play. Siwon appeared on screen, sitting in what looked like a hotel room, his expression grave and concerned. Every inch the worried father, the responsible leader. I felt my stomach turn. "My fellow pack leaders," Siwon began, his voice steady and reasonable. "I come to you today not as a former territory alpha, but as a father who's watched his son make choices that endanger everything we've built. 3 days ago, my son exiled me from the pack I spent 30 years building. His reason? I tried to protect him from a manipulative omega who has systematically isolated him from family, from advisors, from anyone who might question his increasingly erratic decisions." "That's not," I started, but Geonwoo squeezed my hand. "Let it play," he said quietly, though I could see fury building in his eyes. Siwon continued, his expression pained. "I don't make these claims lightly, but I have evidence. Documentation of my son's declining judgment, testimonies from pack members who've witnessed his emotional instability, financial records showing resources being diverted to protect one omega at the expense of pack security." He paused, letting that sink in. "Yesterday, my son's people attacked me, unprovoked, without cause, because I dared to request a formal review of his leadership." "He's lying," Daeshim said flatly. "We didn't attack him. His people attacked us." "I know," Yeonwoo said. "Keep watching. I'm calling this emergency leadership vote not because I want my position back," Siwon said, and he actually managed to look reluctant about it, "but because I cannot stand by and watch my son destroy himself and endanger the pack we both love. If the regional council votes to remove him from leadership, I will accept whatever role they deem appropriate to help rebuild. If they vote to support him, I will accept exile with grace. But I will not stay silent while an omega, with no understanding of pack dynamics, manipulates my son into decisions that will get people killed." The video ended. The room was silent for a long moment. "He's good," Taejin said quietly. "He hits every pressure point: concerned father, reluctant challenger, pack safety over personal interest. And he frames you as the villain without ever directly attacking you." "He called me manipulative," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "He said I'm the reason Geonwoo's making bad decisions. He's blaming me for everything." Which is exactly what I expected him to do. Geonwoo turned to face me, his hands framing my face. "Listen to me. This is what abusers do when they lose control. They flip the narrative, make themselves the victim, make you the aggressor. He's counting on the fact that most alphas will instinctively side with another alpha over an omega. Then how do we fight it? With the truth." He pulled me closer. "With evidence. With the security footage showing him breaking your arm. With medical records. With Minho's testimony about the coordination with the Nakamuras. With every piece of proof that shows he's the one who's been manipulating and lying. Will it be enough?" My voice came out smaller than I wanted. "It has to be." He pressed his forehead to mine. "Because the alternative is unthinkable." Taejin cleared his throat. "We have another problem. That video's changed things. I'm getting messages from people who confirmed last night that they're now reconsidering. Siwon's framing this as protecting pack interests versus emotional attachment. That's going to resonate with traditional alphas." "How many?" Geonwoo asked, not looking away from me. "3 so far. Maybe more. People aren't responding to messages." "So we're back under 20 confirmed supporters." Geonwoo finally pulled back, his expression hardening into something cold and strategic. "Then we change tactics. We don't wait for the vote at 9. We release our evidence now. All of it. Public, unfiltered, before he can spin it." "That's risky," Daeshim warned. "You start a media war 2 hours before the vote. He already started it with that video. Geonwoo moved to Taejin's workstation. We're just finishing it. Taejin, compile everything. The security footage, the medical reports, Minho's written confession, the financial records showing payments to the Nakamuras. Package it all together with a statement from me explaining exactly what happened and why I made the decisions I did. That'll take at least an hour to do properly. Then we have 1 hour. Geonwoo looked at me. I need you to record a statement too. Your side of what happened. What he did. What he said. How he threatened you. Raw, unfiltered truth. My heart hammered. Right now? Right now. While we have time. While we control the message. His voice softened slightly. I know it's hard. I know you're scared. But this is how we fight back. By making sure everyone hears your voice before they hear his lies about you. I took a shaky breath. Okay, tell me what to say. Don't tell me, he said gently. Just tell them. Tell them exactly what happened, how it felt, what he said to you. The camera doesn't lie, Yunho, and neither do you. Taejin set up a camera in the corner of the room, adjusted lighting, created a simple backdrop. It looked official, legitimate, like something that might actually matter. Whenever you're ready, he said, stepping back behind the camera. Just look at the lens and talk. I'll edit out any pauses or mistakes. I sat in the chair they'd positioned, my broken arm resting in its cast on my lap, my heart racing so fast I thought I might pass out. Geonwoo stood beside Taejin, giving me an encouraging nod. The red recording light came on. My name is Kang Yunho, I started, and my voice shook, but I pushed through it. 3 days ago, Choi Siwon broke my arm in the apartment I share with his son, my partner. He did it because he disapproves of our relationship, because he thinks I'm a weakness, a distraction, something that needs to be removed from his son's life. I took a breath. But that's not the whole story. I told him everything, the way Siwon had cornered me when Geonwoo was asleep, the exact words he'd used. You're a distraction my son doesn't need. The snap of bone that I'd felt more than heard. The threat that if I told Geonwoo what happened, he'd make sure I lost him forever. The hours I'd spent trying to protect them both by lying about how I got hurt. I know what people will say, I continued, looking directly at the camera. They'll say I'm biased, that I'm trying to protect my partner, that an Omega's testimony against an Alpha in power can't be trusted. My voice steadied, but I have medical records, security footage, physical evidence that can't lie and can't be manipulated. And I have the truth, which is that Choi Siwon didn't hurt me because he was protecting PAC interests. He hurt me because he lost control of his son and he couldn't accept it. I paused, gathering my thoughts. Geonwoo exiled his father to protect me. He made the hardest choice an alpha can make, putting his mate above blood family. Some people will see that as weakness. I see it as the kind of strength that actually matters. The strength to stand up to abuse even when it comes from someone you love. The strength to choose what's right over what's easy. I looked at where Geonwoo stood, saw him watching me with something fierce and proud in his eyes. So when you vote today on whether he should keep his leadership position, remember that the man challenging him is the same one who broke an Omega's arm because he didn't approve of who his son loves. Ask yourself what kind of pack you want to be part of. Taejin made a cutting motion. That's perfect. Got everything we need. I stood on shaking legs. Geonwoo was there immediately, pulling me against him. That was incredible, he whispered. You're incredible. It felt like I was exposing everything. You were. But that's how we win this. By not being afraid to show the truth, even when it's ugly and painful and makes us vulnerable. He kissed my temple. I'm so proud of you. Taejin was already working, his fingers flying across the keyboard. I'm cutting your statement together with the security footage, the medical records, and the financial evidence. Should have everything ready to upload in 30 minutes. Do it, Geonwoo said. Send it to every PAC network, every council member, every alpha who's going to be voting today. I want them to see everything before they walk into that chamber. His phone rang. He checked it and his expression shifted. It's Counselor Jisoo. I need to take this. He stepped away, answering. Counselor, thank you for calling back. I couldn't hear her response, but I watched Geonwoo's face as he listened. Watched hope flicker, then concern, then determination. I understand your position, he said carefully, but I need you to understand mine. My father didn't just make a mistake in judgment. He committed assault against an Omega under my protection and then tried to cover it up by manipulating pack politics. A pause. Yes, I'm aware of how that sounds. I'm also aware that if we don't hold alphas in power, accountable for abuse, we're sending a message that violence is acceptable as long as you have the right connections. Another pause, longer. Then I hope you'll watch the evidence we're about to release and make your decision based on facts, not politics. He hung up and ran a hand through his hair. Jisoo's concerned about the optics. Says this whole situation is dividing the regional council and making everyone look bad. She's worried about optics while your father's coordinating with rival packs to kidnap me? I couldn't keep the bitterness out of my voice. Welcome to pack politics. Geonwoo's smile was tired. Where appearance matters more than truth, and loyalty is measured by convenience. Package is ready, Taejin announced. Just need your approval to send. Geonwoo moved to review the compilation. I watched over his shoulder as Taejin played it back. My statement, clear and direct, followed by security footage that showed exactly what Siwon had done, followed by medical documentation and financial records linking him to the Nakamuras. It was damning, undeniable. Send it, Geonwoo said. Everywhere, now. Taejin hit enter. Done. It's uploading to every major pack network simultaneously, should be fully propagated within 15 minutes. Then we have 15 minutes to prepare for the fallout. Geonwoo turned to me. You need to get ready. We're leaving for the council chambers in 45 minutes. I don't have anything to wear except... I gestured at my current clothes, rumpled and stained from yesterday's chaos. Already handled. Daishim appeared with a garment bag. Had someone pick up clothes from your apartment early this morning? Something appropriate for a council appearance. I took the bag and found clean clothes inside. Nothing fancy, but presentable. Professional. The kind of thing that said I was taking this seriously without trying too hard. There's a shower through there, Geonwoo pointed to another door. Take your time. I'll handle everything else. The shower was brief, hard to manage with a cast, but the hot water helped clear my head. By the time I emerged dressed and somewhat put together, the command center had transformed into organized chaos. Multiple phones ringing, people appearing from other parts of the warehouse I hadn't known existed, Taejin coordinating responses to the evidence dump. Initial reactions are mixed, Taejin was saying as I entered. Traditional alphas are pushing back, saying this is a private family matter that shouldn't have been made public. But younger council members, progressive voices, Omega advocacy groups, they're all signal boosting the footage and calling for immediate action against Siwon. What about the vote? Geonwoo asked. He'd changed too, now wearing a dark suit that made him look every inch the territory alpha he was. Too early to tell, but we're getting messages of support. People who'd gone quiet last night are reaching out again, saying they're back on our side after seeing the evidence. Numbers? 23 confirmed, maybe more if the momentum holds. Geonwoo nodded, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. 23 was good, but it wasn't a guarantee. We should go, Daishim said, checking his watch. Need to be there early. Control the space before Siwon's people arrive. Agreed. Geonwoo held out his hand to me. Ready? No, I admitted, but I'm going anyway. His smile was brief but genuine. That's the spirit. We took 3 vehicles. Security protocols, Daishim explained. Geonwoo and I rode together, Taejin and Minho in another, Daishim and additional security in the third. The drive to the council chambers was silent except for Geonwoo's phone constantly buzzing with messages he'd check and then dismiss. Your father's going to be there, I said quietly. I know. What if... I stopped, not even sure what I was asking. What if he wins? What if I freeze up? What if everything we did wasn't enough? Then we deal with it, Geonwoo said, reading my unspoken fears. Together? No matter what happens in that chamber, we leave together. You understand? I'm not letting him take you from me. Not today, not ever. The council chambers loomed ahead, a massive building that screamed power and permanence. Alphas in expensive suits gathered on the steps, clustered in groups, speaking in low voices. I saw heads turn as our vehicles pulled up. Saw recognition flicker across faces. "Here we go," Geonwoo murmured. He squeezed my hand once, then stepped out of the vehicle with his public face firmly in place. Confident, controlled, absolutely certain. I followed, trying to channel even a fraction of that certainty. Daishim materialized at my other side, a solid presence between me and the watching crowd. We climbed the steps, voices quieted as we passed. I felt eyes on me, assessing, judging, some sympathetic but many hostile. An Omega who'd dared to challenge an Alpha, who'd gone public with accusations, who'd brought family business into pack politics. The chamber doors opened and we stepped inside. Siwon was already there, standing near the front with a group of older Alphas, all of them radiating power and disapproval. He saw us enter and something cold flickered across his face before his expression smoothed into concerned neutrality. "Geonwoo," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber, "and Yunho, I'm glad you both came. I was worried my son might try to hide you away." "I don't hide from the truth," Geonwoo said evenly, "which is why we released the evidence this morning. I assume you've seen it. I've seen what you chose to show people." Siwon's smile didn't reach his eyes. Carefully edited footage and a coached statement from an Omega who's clearly been manipulated into believing a narrative that serves your interests. "The footage isn't edited," Taejin interjected. "It's raw security camera feed with timestamps that can be verified by anyone with technical knowledge." "So you say," Siwon turned his attention to me. "Yunho, I know my son has convinced you that I'm the villain in this situation, but I hope you'll consider the possibility that you've been used, that a young Alpha desperate to hold on to power might manipulate his Omega partner into making accusations that serve his agenda." My hands clenched into fists. Geonwoo moved slightly, putting himself between me and his father. "Don't," Geonwoo said quietly. "Don't talk to him. Don't look at him. Don't acknowledge him at all. You said your piece in the video. Let the evidence speak for itself." More people were filing into the chamber now, counselors taking their seats in the raised dais at the front, pack leaders filling the gallery, observers and witnesses cramming into every available space. I spotted Counselor Jisoo, her expression carefully neutral as she reviewed documents. Saw other faces I recognized from the evidence Taejin had compiled. Some of Siwon's supporters, some of ours, many still undecided. A gavel struck, sharp and commanding. The room fell silent. "This emergency session of the Regional Pack Council is now in order," Counselor Jisoo announced. "We are here to address a leadership challenge filed by former territory Alpha Choi Siwon against current territory Alpha Choi Geonwoo." She looked between them. "This is highly irregular. A father challenging his son, accusations of abuse and manipulation on both sides, evidence released publicly before proper review. But we will proceed with fairness and adherence to pack law." She gestured to Siwon. "Former Alpha Choi, you filed the challenge. Present your case." Siwon stepped forward, and I watched him transform into the concerned leader. The worried father, the man who just wanted what was best for everyone. His statement hit all the same points as his video: Geonwoo's declining judgment, my manipulative influence, resources being wasted, pack security being compromised. "I don't bring these concerns lightly," Siwon concluded, his voice heavy with regret. "But as someone who spent 30 years building this pack, I cannot stay silent when I see it being destroyed by emotion rather than logic, by attachment rather than duty." Jisoo nodded. "Thank you. Current Alpha Choi, your response?" Geonwoo stood, and I saw every eye in the chamber fix on him. "My father's statement is carefully worded to make this sound like a disagreement about leadership philosophy. It's not. This is about accountability. 3 days ago, my father broke my partner's arm because he disapproved of our relationship. When confronted, he didn't apologize. He threatened further action if Yunho told anyone what had happened. When I exiled him for assault, he responded by coordinating with our enemies to kidnap Yunho and destabilize my leadership." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Jisoo held up a hand for silence. "Those are serious allegations," she said. "Do you have proof?" "I have security footage showing the assault, medical records documenting the injury, financial records showing payments from my father to the Nakamura family, and I have a written confession from a former member of my organization who was feeding my father information." Geonwoo pulled out a tablet and handed it to Jisoo. Everything is documented and verifiable. Jisoo reviewed the tablet, her expression growing darker as she read. She showed it to the other counselors who leaned in to see. I watched Siwon's face and saw the first crack in his composure, a tightening around his eyes, a tension in his jaw. This is concerning, Jisoo said finally. Former Alpha Choi, how do you respond to these allegations? The security footage shows a disagreement, not an assault, Siwon said smoothly. As for the financial records, I have business dealings with many families. That doesn't constitute conspiracy. And a coerced confession from someone my son is holding captive is hardly credible evidence. Minho's not captive, Geonwoo said. He's here voluntarily. He can testify if needed. A man who betrayed you once claiming he's now telling the truth? Siwon shook his head. Counselor, this entire case is built on my son's emotional attachment clouding his judgment. He sees conspiracy and betrayal because he can't accept that people have legitimate concerns about his leadership. Then let's hear from the alleged victim. Another counselor spoke up, an older alpha with sharp eyes. Let the Omega testify about what happened. My stomach dropped. Jisoo looked at me. Kang Yunho, do you consent to testify before this council? Every eye in the chamber turned to me. I felt the weight of their attention, their judgment, their skepticism. Felt Siwon's cold gaze trying to intimidate me into silence. But I also felt Geonwoo's hand find mine and squeeze once, steady and certain. I consent, I said, surprised my voice came out clear. Then please approach and give your account of what occurred. I walked to the center of the chamber, acutely aware of my broken arm, my rumpled appearance, how small I felt standing in front of all these powerful alphas. But I lifted my chin and looked directly at the counselors. 3 days ago, Choi Siwon came to our apartment while Geonwoo was asleep, I began. He told me I was a distraction his son didn't need, a weakness waiting to be exploited. Then he grabbed my wrist and twisted until my arm broke. I held up my cast. He told me if I said anything to Geonwoo, he'd make sure I lost him forever. That family would always come before an Omega who didn't understand pack politics. And you expect us to believe a former pack leader would assault someone over a relationship disapproval? The sharp-eyed counselor's tone was skeptical. I don't expect you to believe anything, I said. I expect you to watch the security footage, review the medical evidence, and make your decision based on facts. But I'll also say this. Men in power often think they're above consequences, that they can hurt people who are weaker and nobody will stop them because of who they are. I looked directly at Siwon, and sometimes they're right. Sometimes people look the other way because it's easier than holding someone accountable. But not this time. The chamber was absolutely silent. Is there anything else you want to add? Jisoo asked quietly. Just that. I love Geonwoo. And I'm not going to apologize for that, or hide it, or let anyone use it as proof that he's compromised. My voice strengthened. The fact that he chose protecting me over protecting his father's reputation doesn't make him weak. It makes him exactly the kind of alpha people should want to follow. I stepped back. Geonwoo was there immediately, his arm around my waist, holding me steady as my legs shook with adrenaline. Jisoo conferred with the other counselors in low voices. The chamber waited, tension thick enough to cut. Finally, she looked up. We will now vote on the leadership challenge. All those in favor of removing current Alpha Choi Geonwoo from his position, indicate now. I counted hands. 15. My heart sank. All those opposed to the challenge, indicate now. More hands. I counted frantically. 26. 26 opposed. The challenge fails, Jisoo announced. Current Alpha Choi Geonwoo retains his position and authority. Furthermore, given the evidence presented, we are opening a formal investigation into former Alpha Choi Siwon's actions, including the assault allegations and his dealings with the Nakamura family. Until that investigation concludes, his exile stands and he is barred from pack territory. Geonwoo's arm tightened around me. I looked up and saw relief and disbelief warring on his face. We'd won. Siwon stood frozen for a moment, his carefully controlled mask finally cracking to show fury underneath. This isn't over, he said, looking directly at Geonwoo. You've made an enemy today, son. No, Geonwoo said quietly. You made yourself my enemy the moment you put your hands on what's mine. This is just you finally facing the consequences. Security moved in to escort Siwon out. He went without fighting, but the look he shot me as he passed was pure venom, a promise of future retribution. Then he was gone, and the chamber erupted into noise, supporters rushing forward to congratulate Geonwoo, others leaving quickly to avoid being associated with the losing side, counselors gathering to discuss next steps. I barely registered any of it. I just held on to Geonwoo and tried to process that it was actually over. "You did it," he whispered against my hair. "You stood in front of everyone and told the truth, and you won." "We won," I corrected. "Together." He pulled back to look at me, and his eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I love you. So much it terrifies me sometimes." "I love you too." I managed a shaky smile. "Now can we please go home?" "Yes." He kissed me, soft and careful, not caring who saw. "Let's go home." 6 months passed before everything truly settled. Siwon's investigation concluded with formal charges: assault, conspiracy with rival packs, abuse of power. He was permanently exiled and stripped of all pack privileges. Some of his supporters faded away, others quietly apologized and requested to remain in good standing. Geonwoo rebuilt his leadership team carefully, surrounding himself with people who believed in his vision rather than his father's legacy. The territory flourished. People noticed. My arm healed. The cast came off. Physical therapy was brutal but effective, and eventually the only reminder was a slight ache when it rained. We never did make it to the coast that Geonwoo promised. There was always too much work, too many responsibilities, too many things demanding his attention as Territory Alpha. But on a quiet evening, when rain drummed against our windows and the city glowed with lights below, Geonwoo pulled me close on our couch and said, "Next month, I'm blocking out 5 days. No calls, no emergencies, no pack business. Just you, me, and the ocean." "Promise?" I asked, tucking myself against his side. "Promise." His hand found mine, our fingers lacing together the way they always did. "You stood with me when my own family wouldn't, testified in front of the entire regional council, helped me become the kind of leader I always wanted to be. The least I can do is show you the sunrise over the water. I'll hold you to that. Please do." We sat in comfortable silence, listening to the rain. My broken arm had healed, but the scars from everything we'd been through remained. Not visible ones, but the kind that changed you from the inside, made you stronger, made you certain about what mattered. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked quietly. "Choosing me over him?" "Every single day," Geonwoo said, and my heart stopped until he continued. "I regret that the choice ever had to be made, but I don't regret choosing you. Not for a second. Even though it cost you your father, it didn't cost me my father. His choices cost him his son." He shifted to look at me directly. "You gave me the courage to stand up to abuse even when it came from family. You made me better, stronger, more certain about the kind of pack I want to build. So no, Yunho, I don't regret you. I never will." I kissed him then, pouring everything I couldn't say into it, gratitude and love and fierce pride in what we'd built together. When we finally pulled apart, both breathless, his phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. "You should check that," I said. "It can wait." "Geonwoo." He sighed but pulled out his phone. Checked the message. His expression shifted. Surprise, then something complicated I couldn't quite read. "What is it?" "Message from Counselor Jisoo." He showed me the screen. "She wants to know if I'd be interested in a regional council position. Says my handling of the situation with my father showed the kind of leadership the region needs." That's amazing. It's also a huge responsibility. More territory, more politics, more people depending on my decisions. He set the phone down. "I'd need to think about it, talk to you about it, make sure it's what we both want." "We," I repeated softly. "We," he confirmed. "Everything I do, every decision I make, it affects you too. So we decide together." "Then let's talk about it." I settled back against his side. "Tell me what it would mean, what it would change, what you want." And as rain fell outside and the city lived its life below, we talked about futures and possibilities and the life we were building together. A life that had started with a broken arm and a choice. His choice to protect me. My choice to stand with him. Our choice to build something better than what we'd inherited. It wasn't the ending I'd imagined 6 months ago when I'd laid in that hospital bed with Siwon's threats echoing in my head. But it was better. It was real. It was ours. And that was enough. The end. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe for more.